Hi there. Figured I'd do a video on lessons learned, fixing up our church to house conversion. And this would apply to old houses, old buildings, non-traditional homes, anything where you're taking something old, not made to be a home, and certainly learned some lessons in the last, 3 years that we worked on our building. So maybe this will help you out. First thing, and like I'm considering, maybe an old bank building somewhere. First thing is, do not pay too much. You pay too much up front for something. By the time you get done with your conversion, you're going to be sorry. The person you're buying from is going to want a lot of money, but you just can't do it. So we got ours at first. I think they wanted $70,000 for it. Then I saw the price drop down to $30,000, and it's like, bingo, I'll do it. So when you're going through your head the costs of doing your conversion of an old building, you might as well just add in an extra 30%. Might even be 50% extra, because you are going to have cost overruns. You have to figure out how much of this are you going to do yourself reasonably. You can look on YouTube and learn how to do all kinds of things, tiling and refinishing your hardwood floors and installing sinks, making your own cabinets, whatever. But you have to know how handy you are, or your spouse, and how much you're willing to do, how much you've got time to do. In our case, I'm using my vacation time every year. And twice a year, I'm driving for 2 days, getting to the building. Then I have to get the camper set up and unload everything. And loading the thing takes hours before I even make my trip. And I'm sleeping in the under the Lear topper on my truck. Before that, I was just sleeping in the back seat, taking a shower at a truck stop, saving money on a hotel. All this stuff adds up. You've got to figure, when you buy a place, you're going to have to take care of the yard, or the city's going to be after you. You may have to pay trash and water every single month. The town where we're doing it at, it's been nice about not charging for months that I'm not there working on the place. And I've got one trash bin, so I've got to figure out, do I need a dumpster? How much is that going to cost? I'm going to be filling up the trash can. Maybe you can sweet talk your neighbors into letting you put some trash in, if their trash can's not full, because you're trying to improve the neighborhood, which can be a plus or minus, because they could figure, well, my taxes will go up if everybody's making their house look nice. Well, in our area, a lot of the houses are not nice. Like next door to us had renters in it. It was just awful. It's like one step above being condemned. In fact, we're looking at whether to buy that property and then have to tear that house down, because I think it cost at least $150,000 to fix that Craftsman house up, doing a lot of do-it-yourself. And I ran into something. I thought, we looked at the property and thought, yeah, we got a good bit of yard space out here. No, you don't. When I looked at the actual property line, measuring off the center line of the road, the property line actually runs through the front steps. I've got 0.2 acres. The part of the property I thought was also mine, no, it's not. It's alley. It's an unused alley. It's just grass, but it's not my property. So, and then I couldn't find the stakes. My brother found a little X off the survey thing on the sidewalk that was just the water had, from all the rain, had eroded it, but I was able to figure out the survey lines from there. It pays to have a good relationship with your mayor or people down in the town. I mean, this is a town of like 560 or something, so it's pretty small. So we've talked to the mayor, get some intel on the property next door, intelligence on what are they doing with their sewer system, the water supply, what's the story on the alley. Found out that there is no code for the county. You still want people to fix your place up to code, but I don't have to pull any paperwork or pay any fees for that. Another thing we tried to do is recycle the materials that I'm tearing out of there. So the old 2x4s, pulling nails out of those, reusing them, pulling off the old, we had removed some walls that were up on the stage and some doors, reusing those, reusing the shiplap as much as possible. You need a good set of tools. If you're going to be doing this yourself, having the right tools makes all the difference, and of course that costs money. I do like having a little contractor saw there, so because I've got a big tabletop saw, and I can't take that to Texas to use. So you have to figure out what am I going to hire out? Well, could I learn how to do electric on YouTube? I suppose. But I watched it, and I'm just barely starting to get a grasp of it. So I figured I'd rather hire that out. Well, I had one guy, contractor, and when I was there and he was working, it went pretty well. But I fronted him money to buy supplies, and it went into his bank account. And then he got broke. And I showed up, and I feared what I would see, which was nothing. None of the supplies I paid for were there. Eventually, after asking 4 times, including his wife, for our money back, I managed to get it back. So, out in the country, you don't have a whole lot of contractors to choose from. And then when you're trying to get plumbers and insulation people, you have to find out, are they willing to drive an hour to come out and work on your place? And then it came down to another thing. I'm on clay soil, and the building had never been leveled. That was $19,500. So I got that done. That was a big chunk of money. I had all kinds of termite damage, ancient bird nests under the trim, all the ropes with the weights for the windows were breaking. They're going to have to replace those. I blew insulation, the pink foam insulation. You can rent the machine from Home Depot, the Pink Panther type stuff. Corning, yeah, that's it. Cut 3-inch holes up top and below. Blew that insulation in between every stud. Went up an attic, blew insulation. There was no insulation up there. Then I found another thing. Back in the old days, they did not have attic venting. I have no attic vents at all. So now I've got a couple of roof fans I'm going to put up there. But then to bring in the cool air from the soffits, from the eaves, I'm going to have to cut some like pigeonholes and put eave vents there. That's going to be a whole bunch more work. And you don't want to be up in that attic in the Texas summer. Just in the winter. You do not want to be up there. Let's see what else. Hired help. Well, it pays to have connections. My brother lives in the area. He can serve as a contractor for people I do hire. The beauty of the locks of the new doors I put in is that you can rekey those locks with different keys. I'm trying to remember what kind they are. Not Yale's. Quickset. So I was able to rekey after having a contractor come in. Let's see what else we got here. Insurance. I got insurance for a vacant building. Well, we've come down to where we need to get a mini split system put in, because a mini split system is going to be a lot more efficient than running traditional central air. Well, the electric, the plumbing all needs to come, get a pro to come in, blowing closed cell insulation underneath. That's a whole nother story, but I'm going to be able to let these people in if I put either a digital lock on, or my brother has to show up every time to let them in, or I give them a key, and then I have to change out the locks again, or I should say change out the keys again on the doors. So you got to think these things through. Financing. This is one I did not know about, and this is super important. You're not going to get a mortgage or a home loan on something that is a non-traditional building. So you better have the money to work on stuff, because it's come down to the only loan that we are able to get is that we've got probably 60% of the place done now. Lady came in, spent a long time from the bank looking at stuff, taking pictures. We can get a home improvement loan, and she'll put a mechanic's lien on the place if it's evaluated by an appraiser for at least $70,000. Then she said, your insurance isn't good enough. You're going to have to get insurance to cover the contractors that come in. And I'm thinking, aren't they supposed to be licensed and bonded? Well, they may not be. So when it comes to contractors, don't be overly trusting. They'll be nice guys, but you tell them only use this kind of paint, and they use what paint they want. You tell them you want rain gutters put back up after they're done fixing the eaves, it doesn't get put back up. The original contractor, he wired up a lot of stuff. It works okay. Here's the problem. The electrical guy that came in and gave us a bid said, nope, you cannot have that breaker box in a closet. That is not code. I also looked outside after I'd watched some of the electrical videos, and I see a short single grounding rod in the ground. You're supposed to have at least 2 or 3 8-footers rammed into the ground. So that's going to have to be fixed too. You're going to have to undo a lot of stuff they did in the past, fix a lot of stuff that, like this church building that we got, they had, I guess, Larry Moe and Curly from the church, and they all had different skill levels. Some of the guys that worked in there were really good at what they did. Some of them that came in, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did this. And you have to fix their problems. So, yeah, you got some work to do. I found that going over that, one thing I ran into is the shiplap. Originally, it had muslin tacked on with little tiny tack type nails. And then they put wallpaper over that. And then sometime around 1960s, I guess, they put acoustic tiles up. I had to pull all those nails that I could pull out, all the staples I could pull out. I'm talking stem to stern, roof, everything. Well, here's the thing. You know what it's like? You spray paint or paint over pine, the knots are going to show through. The nails are going to show through, any rust. So use something that's called Zinser, Z-I-N-S-S-E-R, and it's B-I-N, bin. And it's like a white shellac, and you put that, I sprayed that originally on the walls, and then I sprayed the paint over it. I have not had any show through. I used lots of plaster over I cut 3-inch holes to blow the insulation. That's looking pretty good. Don't put up your sheetrock till you got that plumbing and electrical fixed. They'll hate your guts if you do. Now I used metal studs, and the reason was you're not going to find a 16-foot stud, wood stud, that's going to not be crooked. So we went with steel studs for that. Now for the hired help, my brother and his church, there were high school kids. I've been through about 3 or 4 of them. Some of them are more motivated to work than others. I pay them pretty good, actually. I pay them well so they'll come back, but some of them still don't care to work that much. But you can get high school kids to work for you doing unskilled labor. So you got to figure out the help that's coming. I got to know, what can you do? What can't you do? What have you got experience with? Had one guy helping me, that Army vet, and I could put a little more on him even if he hadn't done it before. I'd just show him and tell him what I want, and then, he'd pick up on it, and I'd pay him $15 an hour. I'd pay the not college kids, high school kids. My brother was paying him $10 an hour. I paid him $12 an hour, which is really good money if you're not getting taxed. Another thing to help us a bunch, well, and you got to figure this in your budget too, is appliances and tubs and showers and custom showers and cabinetry. So I had the benefit of my brother does landscaping and he's reselling stuff. He knows people, the managers at Lowe's, and he was able to buy stuff like 1/3 to 1/5 of the original cost. And I gave him a little extra money. I got stove and refrigerator and hood vent and faucets and just all kinds of stuff at super low prices. But I love that word clearance. You look out for clearance, you can get your faucets and shower stuff from there, off the clearance rack. Oh, let's see. So what's your skill level and how much strength have you got? And are you going to have help? You got like a brother or a friend that willing to help you when you can't do the job yourself? Because that's going to happen. And the wife, if she goes to the gym, maybe she can help you more than one that sits around on a couch. So think it through. And then you got to think through the order of business. So we got a program online called Room Sketcher, and my wife figured out the layout a few different times till we got what we wanted. And then that was our blueprint. And then you have to think through what has to be done first, what can be delayed. Basically you're fixing the problem stuff first, and there's always a lot of that. You get the place cleaned out, get the walls fixed, get the doors fixed, get the floors fixed, get the ceiling fixed, and get your rooms roughed out. You got to think through. I spent a lot of time, especially early in the morning, and especially when I was there on site, for about half an hour, I would lay there after I woke up and think through the day. Who's going to do what? What's going to happen during the day? What's the order of business I'm going to do? And you're going to find that it's going to take you, most of the time, it's going to take you 3, 4, 5 times longer to do something than you think. HDTV does a big disservice, really, because in 60 minutes, they're done with the house. It is not going to happen, people. Unless you got a big crew coming in one after another, this is going to take you a long time to get done. And you are going to have cost overruns. So you just figure on it. Well, let's see. Oh, my brother knew some realtors. So this guy and his wife both came by to look at the place, and we wanted their thoughts on it. So they told us what they thought it might be worth when it's done, versus what we thought, what they thought of the layout, any ideas they had. And it was just eye candy for them getting to come see it. Another thing was people that used to go to church there would come walking through the door. Hey, I'm fine with that. I want to tell me about this place. Get your neighbors, get people that used to live there, go to church there, tell you, the history on the place. I found out that the vinyl siding's from 1972. I found out the ceiling fans have been replaced in the 80s. Found out who the pastor was, found out how long it's been vacant, all kinds of stuff. It doesn't hurt to see what kind of neighbors you have. That's another good thing to do. Go to community events, meet people. That's a good thing. And let's say plumbing, let's say, are you going to move the building? There were some people interested in the building. They wanted to move it, but they said it was too much work to fix the place up. But you're going to figure you're going to easily spend $30,000 moving it. Is it worth it? My wife says, nope. I thought about moving it to a piece of land. Nah, she wants to keep it where it is. I had to learn to fix the stained glass myself. I had to buy some extra tools to do it. Was able to do it. Fixing walls, plastering, any little skills you have, put them to work. Taxes, you're going to have to pay property tax. Now, one tactic I'm using is I'm not finishing the siding on this place until near the end. And the reason is, when they come to appraise this place and they see nasty siding like it has now, they're not going to jack your taxes up so much. So I thought about siding. I can't use the original siding. It's just too messed up, and I can't duplicate it. So I thought about vinyl siding. I thought about hardy clapboard siding. Let's see, I thought about cedar siding. No, cypress siding. And what it came down to was I think I'm going to go back to the vinyl. I don't have to paint it. It's cheap. It's not that hard to put up. It's going to take time. From a distance, it looks pretty good, actually. And the siding's been on there. It's got some holes in it now, but heck, it's 45 years old. So anyway, let's see if there's anything else. So I talked about recycling stuff, reusing stuff as much as possible. We're trying to keep the integrity of the building. I see some of these older church buildings and older homes, and people make them look modern. It just makes me ill. Don't do that. Try to keep the character of what it was somewhat. I mean, you can modernize it some, but don't rob it of its character, of its history, by slapping a bunch of modern stuff in there and a bunch of sheetrock and not my thing anyway. It might be, yard. Got neighbors mowing the yard, and then I just mail them a payment. So $30 a shot, and they'll clean it up. I think that might be about it. Let's see, appliances, cabinets, equipment, property tax, trash. Going to the dump. If you take a load to the dump, I found out the hard way, you have to have a hard hat. You have to have a cover over your junk that you're hauling on a flatbed, and you have to have steel-toed boots. They sold me a helmet and a orange vest when I went out there for $15. But yeah, you need to know about that too. So I think that's about it. Hopefully it's helpful. Got any questions or anything else, let me know.